show, I'll have one interview, and the common thread is that everyone I talk to will be someone who has experienced change. Our guest tonight grew up in the Westboro Baptist Church, which her grandfather, Fred Phelps, founded. You know them. They protest soldiers' funerals with signs like this. That is actually her in the photo. It was all she knew and everything she loved. But when she was put in charge of social media for the church, she found herself changed. Welcome, my friend, Megan Phelps-Roper. Hello, friend. How are you? How about that picture? I love it. JewsKilledJesus.com. Wow. I'm so glad you guys got that domain name. I would be absolutely broken if you had to be JewsKilledJesus1.net. So, okay. The Westboro Baptist Church is considered a hate group. Why is that?
Well, because we did a lot of things that seem hateful to most people. We believed that it was loving. We thought that, loving our neighbor was going to warn them the consequences of their sins. But we did things like, we celebrated 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina and every sort of human tragedy. We protested funerals. Like I said, we did it because we believed that was the definition of love. We thought we were loving our neighbor with those signs. So God hates was a way of loving our neighbor. Does that make sense?
So tell me about your moment of change.
So I got on Twitter in 2009, and that's where my first doubts really came from. Twitter was a lot like pickets at first. It was really hostile. I was saying incredibly provocative things, and people were responding in kind. And then after a while, there was this group of people, and just individuals, who, because we were able to finally have sort of extended, ongoing conversation, you could have that on Twitter in a way that you couldn't have on the picket line. People got to know me, and I got to know them, and we got to see that neither of us, neither side was the monstrous, image we had in our heads.
Okay, so you've said that you married your troll, which you did. You married your Twitter troll. And how was he able to get through to you?
So first I should say that he would probably object to be calling a troll, to being called a troll. But he was arguing from a position of, yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I understand, I see these things in the Bible, but for instance, picketing funerals, like, what about the family? We literally had a sign that said, God hates your feelings. So I had learned from a very young age to just dismiss people and their thoughts and feelings and how we impacted them. And my now husband, who at the time was totally anonymous, and I didn't know. Anyways, he's an incredible human being.
It's practically like J-Date.
But it's amazing that he and people like him took the time and had the patience, to really effectively challenge me. I mean, I think it's incredibly important and a super effective tactic when you're dealing with extremists.
Talking about extremism, I think that your presence in this conversation is so powerful because you literally understand, Charlottesville. This is something that you can genuinely kind of understand.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really important for people to understand is that I think extremists generally are not psychopaths. They're not, they're psychologically normal people who have been persuaded by bad ideas. And we can't expect to isolate these people and hope that those ideas will just fade into oblivion. We really have to actually engage those ideas and find ways of, one, understanding the mindsets of the people that we're dealing with, and then effectively constructing arguments and evidence and presenting those things. And it's not just for the sake of these extremists, right? Because they impact the rest of society. Young people, especially, I think, are more susceptible and vulnerable to them. So we present the arguments not just for the people who are in it, who are doing things that we find reprehensible, like what happened in Charlottesville. We actually have to address it.
It is interesting because my first instinct, my first impulse, go, well, these extremists, they're not psychopaths, they're just normal people, and in my mind I went, I don't know about that. And then I look at who I'm talking to, and you're the perfect example of that, Tell me what happened when you left the church.
When someone leaves the church, they are immediately cut off from everyone in the church.
And that's your entire family?
Yeah, next month will be 5 years since I left.
Such a short amount of time, really.
Oh man, it seems like forever. Like I can't believe it's been that long since I've seen, my, oh, okay, I'm not gonna cry. I've spent a lot of time the past 5 years, like spending, with these communities that I used to target at the church, and really trying to find a way to sort of repair some of the damage that I did while I was there. So I've been working with schools, middle schools and high schools on anti-bullying campaigns, and with law enforcement on like hate crimes and counterterrorism and extremism, and just really trying to find a way to use these experiences to do good. So for instance, like I was staying with Rabbi Yonah Bookstein here in Los Angeles, who I had picketed 3 years earlier with a sign that said, "Your rabbi is a whore." So like spending time now with this rabbi.
That rabbi's a whore. You should meet my sister, the rabbi.
I tried.
You are one of the most positive people I've ever met. What gives you hope?
Well, I think a big part of it is that at Westboro, like we had a sign and a matching website, literally theworldisdoomed.com. And it's like this incredibly depressing view of other people. We basically saw everybody outside the church as inherently evil and, deliberately doing what they knew was wrong and going to hell. And when I left and I was meeting all these people and realizing they're not monsters. They're just people trying to live their lives in the best way that they know how. And I find so much hope in that.
Megan, thank you so much for coming.
Megan, I have a question. Yeah. I understand you took a vacation recently and things got a little wacky?
Mather, it's not that kind of show. Go get the bed ready. Megan, I'm so happy you came. Let's hug heart to heart. That's my therapist. This tells me too. I love you to pieces. I love you too.